Let's talk contingencies from the buyer, the seller, and the agent perspective. Now, first, what is a contingency? Well, a contingency is when a buyer must sell their property in order to qualify for the purchase of the next property. So, buyers can be non contingent, meaning they do not need to sell a property in order to qualify for their purchase, or contingent, meaning they need to sell in order to qualify for the purchase. Now, for a buyer, this is an awesome opportunity because it's essentially saying, I'm going to make an effort to sell my current property so that I can buy your property. But if I can't do so, I don't really have a lot of penalty. Now, of course, the seller can continue getting offers even with a contingency. And in that case, a buyer may have to decide whether they're going to waive that contingency or not. But truth be told, this is a more buyer friendly opportunity than it is for the seller. Now, let's flip sides to the seller. The buyer is going to make every effort to sell their property, but if they don't do it, then the deal just terminates and they get their earnest money reimbursed, which means the seller just lost a lot of time on the market. However, the seller can still take offers during that time. And it does mean that the buyer will have to decide whether they want to waive their contingency and move forward with the transaction or whether they want to go ahead and terminate and let the other offer take primary position. Now, for a seller, this can be a good opportunity, but there's a big if. And the big if is if the buyer's property sells. So the seller is in good faith, giving the buyer time in order to sell their property so that they can make the sale on theirs. Now, what happens if they can't? If the buyer cannot sell their property, then there is a date in the addenda that essentially the contract just terminates and the earnest money is reimbursed to the buyer, which means that the seller could have lost a lot of time on the market and that could be pretty impactful for their bottom line. Now, here's where it can be a great opportunity for a seller. If the home that the buyer is going to sell is in a strong market and it appears that it will be priced competitively, positioned well, and sell, then this can be a phenomenal opportunity to get under contract on their home. And oftentimes, buyers understand the tricky position it puts a seller in, and the offer terms will be stronger. As an agent considering a contingency, it is extremely important to understand the marketing of the property that's going to be sold and that market and what to expect. Now, this year, I have helped a buyer purchase with a contingent offer and it worked out wonderfully. I've also just helped a seller close a property with a contingent buyer. In both cases, the homes that were being sold were in very strong markets. And so we were able to mitigate any risk that might occur. So, from an agent perspective, if you're considering submitting or accepting a contingent offer, be sure you understand the market and what to expect and how to set expectations for the buyers and sellers. So, while contingencies can feel confusing and overwhelming, I want you to know it is possible. It does work out. And as long as you have a very clear picture of the situation, you can make an informed decision with your trusted real estate agent. Have more questions on contingencies? No problem. We have a blog with even more information available for you on our website. And don't hesitate to reach out. We are your trusted real estate resource.